Hi there. I hope all of you have had a good week. I know for those who are in Houston, this past week was very challenging. My heart goes out to you, as well as our good thoughts, family good thoughts to all of you. I hope with our donations, the rest of the country coming together, that we can all pull together and make sure that we help our fellow Americans. With that, let me jump into what's happened over the last week. So this past week, I worked on closing a number of deals, following up on some existing deals, and kicked off essentially some discussions with some new leads that I had received. One of the deals that came through this week was actually as a result of working through a freelance consulting site. I'm currently on a number of them. I'm on Fiverr, Freelancer, Upwork, and aside from creating profiles and coming up with pricing, packaging, like Fiverr has gigs that you can create and various levels of gigs or tiers within the same gig as far as pricing and offerings are concerned, I decided to experiment with an idea. So there are a lot of folks essentially that have various packages on these sites, but I wanted to do something different. This is actually the basis of what I explain in my blog today as MSU, making stuff up. The idea behind MSU is that you use other people's successes, especially some successful business people, and the lessons that they've learned from their businesses to test out your own. So you don't simply plug and play, you begin to come up with your own ideas. Now in my case, for these freelance consulting sites, I asked, what if I do something different as far as how I offer my services? My services, especially around DocuSign, very specific about bringing up somebody on use of DocuSign. What if I actually build a solution and offer to do that without any initial cost to the customer? So this is partially built solution to a point where a prospect sees the actual value that I'm bringing to the table. So everybody else may have samples of work that they've done or the experience that they may have had. That's great. But what if I can actually demonstrate the solution that they're going to get? Not something that sort of kind of maybe looks like what they may get. In other words, not something that is in their same industry or even one of their competitors, but no, their specific solution. So the idea here is that I would be flexible to generate a solution that has the look and feel that the customer is looking for, but also a lot of that functionality. And that's what I did. And I closed the gig as a result of it in a fairly short amount of time. So what's the bottom line? Aside from being flexible and trying to come up with new ideas, is that just because you've heard about some best practices about how you can go about your consulting business, your product business, whatever the case may be, software business, doesn't necessarily mean that those lessons completely apply to what you're doing. You now have to take those best practices and those lessons and dissect them and figure out, how does it apply to you? How does it apply to your specific industry? How does it apply for your customers in a particular region? The same solution that may work for somebody in India doesn't necessarily work for somebody who's in Colombia or who's in California or any other state or country that ends with an IA. So you have to experiment. You have to go through trial and error and figure out what really works for you. That's the bottom line. And here's the big highlight. Circle this, highlight it, underline it, and remember, what I just mentioned, you should even apply to the lesson I just described. Until next time, see you guys.